It seems the citizens of Heartland are down there at City Hall. The City Hall is filled up with people. There's no room for them. They're gathering in the middle of the street. I don't know, something about unsafe sidewalks. It just doesn't end. Well, just by seeing that, you know what I'm going to be doing. It's kind of chilly out there. I can hear the wind. It's really blowing out there. So it's a good day to just stay inside and do something. So I'm going to start working on those sidewalks, see if I can get them done today. Well, if you remember, I just painted on my sidewalks. I just wanted to speed things around. I needed to just have something on my layout. So I painted the street and I painted the sidewalks. But the city has come in now and decided that these can no longer be painted sidewalks. So I'm going to take this section and I'm going to build a sidewalk here. Gee, it almost looks like a tornado came and moved my buildings around. And this is what's underneath my buildings right now. So I had to make this hole. It's a pretty big hole, but I had to make it so that that electrical fitting would fit in there for that the Heartland Mission I built that I repurposed. So that foam there, you can see I started off with a 1/2-inch plywood was my layout table, and then I've got 1.5 inch foam there, and my upper section is 1.5 inch also. Anyway, I'm going to replace these sidewalks and see if I can't make this look like I did in White Rock. So that's the sidewalks in White Rock. And I'm going to try and match those in town. So I took one of my Cheerio boxes and cut out a piece of cardboard to kind of fit where I'm going to have my buildings. And the back part over there in the back, you can see a little gravel road that's leading back there. That's all going to be gravel alleyway behind the buildings. So this is where I'm going to be, and I have to do a little bit of road work. I don't know if you can see that dent there. I'm going to fill that in a little bit so that you don't see that. I cut the cardboard and laid it up there and put the buildings on it so I could make sure it all fits. Sorry about that shadow. Sometimes I do this just when I'm building things so I can see behind the buildings. I'm going to lay a piece of cardboard over that hole, and that's the section that'll be filled in with gravel back there. The roads are just, you know, I mixed some gray and black paint together and just painted the top of my styrofoam. It's, you know, a little rough, but it looks like an old blacktop road that's got some potholes and that in it. But I really had to fill this one in because that was an absolute hole. But you can see there's one back there, looks like a little pothole to the left. And that's kind of the look I'm trying to get with the streets. So I fill in the real bad stuff. I couldn't lay my sidewalk over the top of that because it created a great big hole right where they connect. And well, I don't buy concrete paint, so I just take some khaki and some gray. These are my acrylics again, and I mix them up to look like maybe kind of a grayish brown, kind of an aged looking concrete is what I'm trying to come up with. So I painted the areas on this with that. Now I've got to let it dry. You can see those black sticks in the background. Those are railroad ties, and I'm trying to come up with a pile of railroad ties and some rails for my rail yard. So I got, you know, a couple of different projects on this right now. After the paint was dry, I took a ruler and I marked out 5 feet areas and drew some lines on there to represent the different sections of sidewalks. A lot of times they pour it as one sidewalk. It's a continuous pour. But afterwards they take a scoring tool and they score the sidewalk every 4 or 5 feet. And those are control joints. And so that if the sidewalk was to crack, it hopefully would crack in the control joint and not across the sidewalk. But that surely doesn't necessarily happen, especially with older concrete. These days you might see them pour a garage floor, and then several days after the floor is poured, come back in and take a power saw and with a concrete blade, and they'll score the floor into maybe 4 or 5, 6 sections. So that's what that is when you look at an old sidewalk. Those are the scoring lines. I know this is a brand new sidewalk, but I added some squiggly lines. I wanted to make this look like it's an old sidewalk when it gets finished. I measured the edge, the depth of the edge on this box before I started with an N-scale ruler, and that winds up about 6 inches, maybe just a little over 6 inches. So I think that'll work out great. I think sidewalks are probably 8 inches, but this will serve the purpose. Well, I glued it in and I put some landscape. I'm still not done with the landscape in the back, but I did like a real diluted black wash on the sidewalk area that you're going to see. Well, let's just start. That works for me. Looks like a sidewalk.